Simulation and strategy games have always piqued my interest since the early days of gaming, as turn-based strategy titles have been at the top of my go-to games. Adding an element of management to it made it much more engaging, and I absolutely adored the learning curve. The fact that you could play for hours only to essentially fail, take what you have learned and begin a new game to see the effects of those skills improving your game on almost every aspect is just so satisfying. Transport Fever 2 is a title that lets you manage and build as well as transport cargo and passengers from land, sea and air between different towns, minus the city building aspect. In short, you could think of it as city skylines without the city building. The official description reads as follows, quote, "The classic transport simulation genre has a new gold standard with Transport Fever 2. Discover a whole new world by navigating transport routes through land, water and air. Experience the greatest logistical challenges from 1850 to the present day and build a transport empire unrivaled anywhere else on the globe." End quote. If you've ever played a game called Transport Tycoon, then you'll absolutely love Transport Fever 2. Now, to be honest, I've never played the original Transport Fever game, but when I started looking at some developer interviews and gameplay on the sequel, I was immediately hooked at the possibilities of what this game could be, and it certainly didn't disappoint. Released only for PC at the time of this review, Transport Fever 2 lets you think with logistics while building transport depots between cities for various goods as well as passengers. You see, if City A has workers that City B could possibly use, then you need to build a way for them to get there and vice versa, either via road, rail, air, or sea. You could also supply needs for other goods such as whiskey, steel, lumber, and so on by carefully planning the different and most cost-effective routes. When planning a route via rail, for example, you'd want to see how you can use the same rail for more than one train and splitting them in the middle where one locomotive could wait as the other passes along the way, and all of this takes planning. As you attend to the needs of different cities, you'll see them grow and expand, which pushes these requirements even further. It's a fun and addictive pattern which allows for a huge amount of replay value. The biggest complaint is that there is no other competitive AI that is a risk for your business. I remember with Transport Tycoon that other AI businesses could easily take over other cities or areas that produces goods if I'm not quick enough, and by that time, it's all used up. That would have been a nice idea, but sadly, it's just you. Another annoying factor is that often routes require you to specifically choose what cargo to transport, as often it defaults to something that isn't even at the station. In one instance, I had to get whiskey barrels from point A to point B via a ship, and from point B to point C via a truck, but for some obscure reason the ship and truck were looking for steel the whole time, which made me scratch my head for about 30 minutes as to why they weren't transporting barrels, only to realize that Transport Fever 2 often looks at routes backwards. So if I choose route B to C first and then A to B, then the game would register that C requires whiskey from B and B requires barrels from A, which then results in my ship and truck to have whiskey. Makes sense? Speaking of trucks and ships, the game takes you from the 1800s right through to the 2000s, so it's rather incredible to see technology changing as well as the way it does business, as I genuinely get excited when a newer and faster model is released. The visuals are stunning as well. The wagons and horses from the 1800s as well as the cities are carefully modeled accurately, with people walking about to the more modern vehicles and airplanes. Playing through the sandbox mode is a lot of fun, and it really is where the bulk of your time will be spent, but the game also has a campaign mode which basically acts as a lengthy tutorial. You have different missions and goals that you need to accomplish with bonus missions, and each chapter is set during different times. It's a great way to learn the ropes of Transport Fever 2, as it easily helps you with the basic planning of paths and to the more advanced logistical side of the game. There are also a few fun side missions too, but it doesn't really add much to the overall experience. The game also has a fun camera mode which lets you follow or ride the specific vehicle that is transporting that goods, and it feels really relaxing just following a ship over the waters or sitting back with a locomotive, cup of coffee in hand and enjoying the view. Once you deliver the goods, then you're paid for its delivery, but maintenance costs can often be high, so you need to plan carefully how many trucks, carriages or boats you'll be using. Once you get over that initial struggle of finances though, it's pretty smooth sailing as you can just spend left and right with no real impact. I do feel that after you reach that hill, most of the struggle is over, but it's still a satisfying feeling getting to that point. Transport Fever 2 is a fantastic game that will challenge you in many areas, but ultimately it'll begin to feel too easy once you learn the ropes of this title, as most of the challenges will be gone by then. I do hope in future updates they'll add an AI opponent and maybe more content through expansions. Overall, I had a great time playing this game and will definitely dive back in for more. Had I put a score on this, then I'd easily give it an 8 out of 10. I'd like to thank the developers for providing me with the review key, and for more gaming content, check out the rest of my channel. If you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, then give me a thumbs down. But please tell me why so I can improve my videos. My name is Frank, I'm the RedTieGuy, and frankly, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.